know SRG as a team who really specializes in terms of the micro, but like we need to see a little bit more of macro from them as well, especially based on how they tend to really overextend and commit mistakes in terms of the late game.
One big difference here now, SRG has finally banned out that Bruno. So they banned out the Jushin, the Bruno, and KBG banning out the Lu Yi as well as the Fanny. So for KBG, really hitting, I would say respect bans here going up against SRG.
Well, you know what respect ban's not there? The one you've been whispering about, talking about. The Freya ban is not on the field just yet. Alpha ban from the side of KBG. SRG, would you ban the Suyo here? The Lu Yi hasn't been out as well for KBG, so the Yi's still open, Suyo's still open, Hylo's still on the field as well. SRG, them being on red side, once again, want to look for some trades here. So honestly, the Freya, you know, a throwaway ban wouldn't be horrible because at least there's still 3 or 4 power picks on the field and you win something out. But at this point with the Alpha ban, I think you do go for the Suyo ban. And you bring it down to more of the assassins, the joys, things of that nature.
I'd be okay with seeing a Hayabusa as well. It performed pretty well earlier when we've seen it in the first series. It's been one of the comfort heroes as well for Saksha in the previous qualifiers, if you recall. But now Bandit Focus instead. So yeah, definitely a lot of power picks still available here for KBG.
Yep, they pick up the Cho first, not letting that into the hand of Yumes. We haven't seen the Matilda today, but Yumes does enjoy using the Matilda quite a bit. However, without the Alpha here, it's going to be quite an interesting situation. By the way, the Hilda is still open. The Hilda is still open if SRG wants to pick that up for
Hilda Matilda right here.
Hilda Matilda,
kind of clean. I mean, it would be a nice, aggressive, fast-moving comp immediately. Something that can at least counteract the Cho's quick movements. But Hilda, just about anything would look good right now.
Yeah, if a safer option, there's still the Hylos as well. But they get the Suyu immediately together with the Hilda. At least now they know that they have the Hilda in their hands.
The Eve is open as well in case if KBG wants to pick it up, because if they don't pick up the Eve, it is going to be on SRG to pick it up. By the way, if we're looking at fighter tanks in the jungle, only Fredrin is really one open here. Bane here and there, but hasn't been having quite a good success. So if KBG doesn't pick up their jungler here, I'm thinking the Joy, but I don't know if they want to take that risk against a Hilda.
There goes the Joy. So
time to drop the beat of the flash.
All right, Joy pick comes in. I think the Eve is solid. You have the Cho, it works great with the Eve. Yep. It keeps people in a little bit longer. It can bring them back into it. You have control. So overall, just a nice pressure. They do go for the Hylos though, which again, solid. The only problem is now we have there's no flexibility left, right? The EXP roam is already in.
Yep, and the problem with the Cho and the Joy right now is that they can disrupt so much of SRG's potential positioning if they were to go for a hero who's very much reliant on that. If not disrupt, penetrate, and just really pour out all the damage towards those targets that they look for or look out for in the backline. So I'm thinking about if ever Stormy wants to go for a mid lane who's a little higher in terms of mobility. I was considering the Louis even earlier, but now that we're seeing this kind of lineup.
Eve or Matilda.
And Louis, Louis banned out, so no Louis. Okay. Now,
team is banning.
we get the Tig.
Make sure they get it now, and the Joy is going to have a big problem. Now, I'm looking at the mid lane. A lot is open, but I'm also looking for a Moskov here for Innocent.
And, you know, taking a page out of Falcon's book from yesterday, Falcons rushed the Tig because they knew it was just going to be so helpful in those neutral objective fights. And this gives SRG an immediate answer, even though, once again, you now know this Hilda is a guaranteed EXP laner, but still, the advantage you get from this when it comes to first, second, some of the most important objectives of the game, those first turtles, it's going to be huge.
Can we say that both have the same opening here, grabbing Roam, EXP, and Jungler? Both teams are on the same page.
So you're self-banning at this point.
Yeah.
You know?
It kind of reminds me of the Balearic and the immediate response to all those dive comps here, but yeah, they take out the Freyas. Still not gonna find its way to KBG, but I mean, we also still don't know what Innocent might be pulling off this time, and they don't decide to ban out the gold lane heroes just yet. Instead, they go for Stormy. So
Eve is still open,
now
by the way.
Just really the Eve.
And SRG gets first pick, so I mean, KBG has to ban that Eve out because Tig, Eve, Hilda, you have a lot of power when it comes to these objectives right there with the TIG and the Hild already. You had a Yve, you had a RWM around a Turtle Pit, Lord Pit, and now it's a hard fight to take to try to out-retry somebody.
If they want more frontline, they can pick up a Vexana as well. The mid is quite open here, so it's going to be pretty difficult for KBG to bat out against them. If you take out the Yve, there's still Aurora. There's still Vexana. And in terms of the goal lane, Moskov is okay, but it looks like they banned the Moskov themselves.
They take out the Moskov, right?
Beatrix, Nathan.
The Harith is still there. But then this is a composition who might not make it easy for you to use the Zaman Force. Like there's the Cho, there's the Joy. They're just constantly on the hunt for these targets. So KBG, will they just let whatever gold lane Innocent wants to play? Will they just let it pass here and just focus on Stormy? Because again, the Yve is still open, so they might want to ban that out.
Yeah, Fermi's also still open, could work okay with both comps, especially SRG if they want to go the sustainable route here. SRG on first pick. I think you save with so many gold laners being banned out at this point, I think once again, you save it for last pick here. Maybe you get some counterplay, like if KBG decides to go for something like a Wan, you can counter with the Aerithal. If KBG decides to go for something that has an obvious answer, SRG will have that answer.
Yeah, if they really want to like go all out on the possible counter sets and that responses to the dives that will be done here by KBG, I think Aurora works well here. It's just that you might have to worry about your Pride of Ice being taken out every now and then by KBG. But Stormy is really good in terms of positioning, and they go for the Vexana instead. Still, at least they have additional front. So that's a lot of space created, whoever Innocent decides to pick up.
Look at the crowd control for SRG, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot of disruption here. The Joy won't have a good time.
Yeah.
And they still have an opportunity for a nice gold laner. I mean, it's SRG's looking scary right now. We're going to see a lot, and the problem is KBG, a lot of their heroes don't have much purifiability. It's going to be all revitalizes, things of that nature. KBG still needing a gold and a mid. For their mid, do they go for something that also gives them for some CC answer, right? Yeah, like Aurora, something that can at least kind of counterplay on the crowd control answer.
If they want to go for a little bit more of late game, Sicilian's there too. But they go for the Fermis.
Ranger Fermis here without the Valentina. It's a one-sided all coming in from the Fermis. So KBG looks to basically stay the team fight for quite a long time. The Beatrix is not there to answer the altar as well.
The problem with the Fermis here, though, is their composition is a very spread out. Everyone's in their own position. It's not a very ube stick-together composition. You have Cho, who's going to be looking for dives. You have Joy, who's going to be looking for dives. You have Granger, who's going to be, dancing back and forth. It doesn't really feed off that very much. And if they do decide to group up, there's a big Eternal Guardian coming. There's a big implosion coming. There's a big threat to if KBG decides to go for it. So a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, that Melissa, we mentioned it earlier. I mean,
it's not Melissa. It is going to be in the time, which we have talked about as well. So now looking at both teams, honestly, both teams have a lot of utility from almost every single role except for the gold lane here. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup here between SRG going up against KBG. Thank you very much to Trex as well as Brigida, but now we're calling in Ingan as well as Nisu to cast this game.
Thank you very much, panel, for breaking it down, the draft there. It's game number 1 in the best of 3. We already know what's at stake. Again, second match for today. Very crucial. What is up, guys? I'm Nisu, joined here on the desk with Ingan, and we're here ready to break it down. What do you think of the draft so far?
I do agree with Trek specifically with the way that the composition of KBG is going to revolve around the Faramis ult, but at the same time, these kinds of compositions don't necessarily group up.
Yeah. Will they group up? Will they make it work? Again, facing the brink of elimination in this tournament for the M6 World Championship. Starting out in this best of 3, will it be Keep Best Gaming? Or will it be SRG, the Selangor Red Giants, to take the series and get one step closer to the knockouts? Now SRG, obviously the crowd here rooting for them, the home team, the champions. Time after time again, they were the tournament favorite leading into this. And man, talk about Keep Best Gaming. How many Titans have they had to face up to this point, RQ and TLID already, and now SRG.
Yeah, they won. However, up against Maycam Evolve, now it's time for KBG to prove that they can go head-to-head with one of the giants as well, SRG. Now, Wind Return, forced to use his Revitalize plus the Ring of Punishment, but again, this is a Hilda. It's just gonna go to the bush, get those HPs back, get a shield for 5 to 10 seconds, and now he's back to clear out the minion waves.
Yep, and while we take a look there up top, don't forget, you guys can go ahead and grab your M6 pass right now too. Reach level 75 for free and grab all the goodies waiting for you guys. Make sure you max it out. I know I haven't, so we'll get to that. But we got to get through today, man, because it already started at a high note. You know, very, I would say, in my sense, surprising that our first series was a sweep. Now, Wind Return.
Oh, up against two. Wanting to look for the first blood kill. It's going to go on the hands of Sekai's, but Saksha, on the other hand, answers right back with a kill of his own, taking down Sekai's.
That's actually pretty big here for KBG in terms of, you know, just jungler power early on. Even taking a look at this, rolling with a Temporal Rain here for Saksha is going to be great. This is usually what we see, of course, from the Joys right now. A very common pick being picked up, especially against the Suyo in that sense. But I got to say, too, the fact that they have a Tigreal over here for SRG is going to work wonders. It has done really well, just statistically, being able to set things up, but then on top of it, you throw that you've got an extra body in the Eternal Guard on the field, but also a Hilda. They have a lot of tools in favor of SRG, and I feel like that's the biggest obstacle that KBG has to overcome. And it's going to start up with his first turtle.
Okay, Eternal Guard pop right out by Stormy as KBG just trying to kite away the turtle. A kick coming in from Tracy onto the backline, but Grab on the other hand, here comes the NetherRealm Glorious Pathway, and Sekai's will secure the turtle. Here comes the counterattack coming in from KBG. They're going to take down Yumes. So a turtle for SRG, but a kill for KBG.
Yeah, a trade again. You know, the trade went in the hands of Saksha, so this more or less continues to build up, at least for him, the momentum that he can get on the Joy. But eventually, you know, the rest of the team's also got to keep things under control. Sekai's himself has been doing really well, you know, counter jungling when he can. He gets the information like this, of course, from Yumes, as Yumes tries to go ahead and protect that purple buff. But ultimately, they want to go ahead and put pressure around the map. One of the things that SRG loves to do is play to that style where they're, you know, putting pressure, they're playing a very aggressive. But at the same time, that aggression has been kind of a double-edged sword so far throughout M6. I mean, that's exactly why they're in the situation they are. They've kind of had to make some adjustments to their decision-making and to their discipline. And, you know, we heard that even earlier on in the first couple days of the Swiss from Coach Arcadia, where it was just like, you know, yeah, we lost discipline. We got to be able to keep things together even if we're ahead. And that's been the case of a lot of teams here, Ingan. Yeah,
considering the fact that they lost to S2G, they were in control towards the mid-game, but S2G still hold on, was able to extend it to the late game, eventually wiped out SRG to take a win. Now this time, they can't afford those kinds of mistakes because, again, they're the tournament favorites. Tracy got penciled out with a Sacred Hammer.
Oh, Tracy's going to go down. Yumes able to escape. Saksha was going to hunt him down, but just backs off for now. So again, Tracy gone, SRG picking up a kill. That's about all they're going to get as they get back into the lanes.
Yeah, and that's the thing that Trex was saying. You know that Tracy is going to look for those initiations, so realistically, he's going to be out of the vicinity of the NetherRealm.
Yeah.
So how can you save Tracy, your main initiator, if you can't reach him, and at the same time, heads up play for Yumes actually to use the Sacred Hammer to make sure the kick is not going to connect, but this time it does!
There's the kick, running the target. Yumes going to go in, dash in. Glorious Pathway already dropped down too. Still going to be bringing the fight. Tracy's going to be in trouble. Still 1 HP, tries to help him out. Cram couldn't get the kill.
But Saksha does bring down Kram, and KBG finally. That clash was in their favor. The turtle has not yet started. And this is the over-aggression that SRG is really known to commit mistakes on. Again, going back to their first game up against S2G, these were the times that their opponents capitalized on their over-aggression.
That's what they want to do here. Looks like it's going to just be ignored for now until they reset. They get to the turtle. Innocent does grab that tier 1. So first one of the game going down. And they'll play around some of the macro decision they have. Win return.
Again, Kram Too deep there, connects the Way of the Dragon, get bursted down by 4, but Selangora Giant still not starting the turtle, so another kill onto Cram. They did, however, trade for the top lane turret, and considering that Innocent has a mystery shop, he's gonna eventually reach his power spike early on if KBG doesn't manage to contain Innocent Nathan.
This is where you really have to capitalize on the fact that Saksa already has this kind of lead, this many kills early on, and he should be able to be enough of a damage threat towards that back line of SRG. The hard part is, again, getting through Yumes, and even this Eternal Guard to an extent. I think that's why Tracy is also, he's kind of facing this obstacle and really can't find that window that he's looking for. As that second turtle gets grabbed and secured by SRG, you can see where they're starting to focus. Good return, though, up top. That's a trade objectively. Turtle for the tier 1 up top. So they try to even things out. Nothing too crazy. They're just trying to clear out the lanes at this point and hold on to what they can in terms of turrets. Now the question for KBG is, how do they play around this portion? We've seen this so much, Ingan, where teams trade for objectives, they trade even kills, but then how is that transition into that mid to late game for them? And can they adjust from there? Because they're looking to make a play down here on bot. They already used the conceal, but it's going to get spotted out.
Yeah, SRG was all ahead of the play that KBG was planning to make, and I do like what Cram has been doing. Although he's 0-2-2, he's just trying to go for the backline, forcing KBG to group up. Tracy, though, on the other hand, got bursted down once again by Sakai's. That was a quick kill for the Giants.
You're seeing how much damage is already there. Overloaded now in the mid lane. Going to force him back a little bit more. Rhapsody from Lexi, he's going to have to wait.
Wind return!
Oh, wind return is gone. Not going to be able to return from that.
And that's a big pickup there for SRG. 2 kills plus a mid lane turret, exposing the base of KBG. And we all know that Saksha with the Joy is a scary, scary jungler when it comes, especially late game when it scales up. He did, however, start with a 4-0-0, but this might be the tempo break SRG is looking for up against KBG. And again, I like to go back to my point where in Kram, just really focusing his attention on the damage dealers, Saksha and Belexi, forcing KBG to group up. And even if they're forced to use that Netherrealm, it's not going to be used up against a huge 5v5 team fight. So that's a concept SRG is going with right now.
At this point, too, SRG getting themselves that little lead. This is what I was talking about when I was saying, this transition from games where that mid to late, especially with the Lord up, again, the lockdown.
Even onto Wind Return, they're not afraid to commit these kills. Here comes Shadow Stampede onto Cram plus the kick. They might be able to bring him down, though, where he comes to Kaizo on the other hand. Saksha onto the backline. Innocent forced to use the entropy in. Netherrealm is there to save the members of KBG, but Saksha on the other hand got slowed down by the weakness finder of Innocent. Even though he's a mobile hero, he can't escape the wrath of Innocent.
A big pickup, too, for SRG. Now they're going to have to fight for the Lord. Sakai's will be able to get it. They forced them back a little bit longer, but SRG gets a whole lot. Here's the conceal.
Even with one Sacred Hammer, they were able to force out the Pure Run coming in from LMU. Look at the damage coming in from Innocent, though. Even forcing Wind Return to use the Revitalize. A lot of battle spells, a lot of skills have been expended, but no trade whatsoever for KBG.
No trade at all for them, and this is where we do see KBG struggle. Now that there's point of the game, the Lord making its way, they're quite behind. Holy Crystal nearly there for Innocent. As soon as he gets that power spike at this point on the Natan is going to be huge. Already with the Starlium Scythe and Feather in Heaven, and right now they can have enough tankiness in the front line that they can probably force their way into these base turrets. Eternal Guard drop down.
Okay, Wind Return drops down the Glorious Pathway. Yums, however, has the Flicker plus Implosion play. He knows that a lot of Purifies aren't there except for Belexi, but they're not going to force things out. The discipline, once again, of SRG to just maximize the Lord, go for the outer turret takedowns, and just eventually help Innocent get his power spike once again so that he can burst down any member of KBG standing in his way.
Tier 2's going down, being worked on. Soxo will be able to hold on to that top one for now. The wave's still pushing in. It is good that they hold on to the shields. Was expecting SRG to actually collapse in and try to take those down at least. They could still play around it too. The thing is, the KBG is actually able to go ahead and clear things out decently well. The fact too that you have a Faramis, a hero we don't see pop up too often, has really been helping them out. It's more so just they are good at extending fights, Whether that's a Revitalize in the Glorious Pathway paired with that Netherrealm, it extends the fights for KBG, but they're lacking that damage throughput. That's what they're having a hard time with, and this Malefic Roar being picked up by Belexi, it might be enough eventually, but he still needs more time. typically when you are on this Granger, you know, you really have to be able to rely on that setup. And unfortunately, they have just been responding to SRG this whole time. And they're going to have to do that for a while. And even when he has the flicker available, you never know when that implosion flicker combination or vice versa is going to come through. And so it is difficult for KBG to actually look for those windows. And that's why I think anytime we see a Cho on the board, Tracy or any Cho player has their work cut out for them, man, because they are the ones to usually go and start things up.
Oh! What a bait out from Tracy, forcing out the implosion play from Yums.
But ultimately, you're still 30 seconds away from a Lord. So SRG can play around this unless they force a fight.
They're going to force a fight. Even Innocent has to use the entropy out.
Oh, no.
Here comes Cram onto the back line, just trying to work on Belexi. Sekai's enters the picture.
They're going to back off. NetherRealm already popped. Tracy gets the kick. Stormy flickers out defensively. Sekai's will pick up a kill.
Tracy is down. KBG has to retreat here, and Selangor Red Giants still standing strong, even with the NetherRealm, even with a glorious pathway, plus the Revitalize. They seem to not lack damage. That's why they're ahead. A 5.8k gold lead, and plus this, Innocent picks up another major item. Now SRG, this might be a clean Lord takedown for the Giants.
That's what I was talking about. You just saw a preview of that. Lacking the damage. Trying to keep Wind Return at bay here. He might get collapsed down on.
Now they commit the implosion. This time it's going to connect. Saksha, though, trying to see if they can have an angle over this Lord, but the problem is Wind Return is down, their main front liner. Tracy still has his Way of the Dragon, can commit it and try to burst down someone, but Selangor Red Giants, again, the discipline of the MSC champions portrayed right now.
Start up the Lord, they should be able to just go ahead and freely secure this. Cram will just post up, staring down any of that entry point that could come from KBG. So with that being said, SRG finds himself with a massive lead. And just even in terms of damage and tankiness alone, like even their tanky heroes that they have here are enough to withstand the major damage dealers from KBG right now. So this Lord will definitely get them knocking on these base turrets down. And as we look into it, you know, you see the stacks, it's not really that much. He doesn't have, I mean, he's got BOD, he's got Malefic Roar, but still working on the next Hunter Strike too. But it just seems like even those shots, the Rhapsody, the Destinata, just not enough to deal with the front line, whether that's Cram or not. Cram, most of the time, he's just sprinting on into all the shots, you know, soaking everything up, because that's like literally his job. And then that's where Yums gets to shine later on. Even an Eternal Guard is enough to tank things up. So there's so much here to deal with if you're KBG. Mid-turret already going down. They're going to have to clump up to actually have this fight in their favor. SRG, there's a conceal going to be used. They try to clear out the waves the best they can. They're slowed down with the Glorious Pathway, still holding it together. And KBG, very clean so far on the defense, unless SRG decides to force a fight. So far, so good. Lemieux's got to go back. There's Tracy with the kick. Still holding on to the Way of the Dragon. Wow. Not able to capitalize on that, but right now, trying to hold on to the base turrets the best they can.
Okay, they take down one bottom lane inhibitor turret. Important to note that Yums again has his flicker. Here comes the Way of the Dragon connecting onto Yums. Hasn't casted an implosion yet, but here comes the NetherRealm. KBG trying to respawn, but Selangor Red Giants' damage is just there. They're going to keep SRG at bay without losing any casualties, and they manage to save their top lane inhibitor turret.
Wow, KBG, despite being down almost 10,000 gold, will have a defense. Saxa, you gotta be careful here. Oh, he's actually gonna go?
Whoa!
Whoa!
Sekai's with a stun, and Innocent with the damage brings down Saksha. Now this might be an opening for SRG. Yums again has this flicker, gonna wait for the implosion to be up. Wow, an unfortunate play from KBG.
KBG, I was saying, you know, great defense, but then now, down a member, this is an opening for SRG.
Innocent goes in with the entropy. They're just trying to delay with the Glorious Pathway. Here comes the Wind Return. Eternal Guard is there to kick as well. But SRG, the damage is just too much. 3 members are down. Belexi trying to defend, but Selangor Red Giants with a Game 1 win.
And SRG will make it happen. First blood in the best of 3. Another game is what they need to stay alive in the tournament, of course. And KBG, you know, that early game looked like they were able to hold things together a little bit. Then it just slipped out of their hands, and that seems to be the trend here, the story. of KBG, but again, they have been against Titan after Titan and now a Titan Giant. Well, let's go ahead and throw it over to the panel to break down game number 1.
Thank you very much, Ingan, as well as Naisu. One of the things we have to talk about, what is up with the EXP laners today? Because in that game, Cram on that Hilda, he's the biggest reason why Bilexi as well as LMU could not deal out that damage. He just zones them out away.
And we didn't expect it to happen that fast after he's been taken out, what, 2 or 3 times consecutively in the early stages of the game. We were thinking that this might be an opportunity for KBG, but that was all just a distraction because SRG, they were able to focus on the other parts of the map.
Yeah, I mean, with Cram in the very beginning, to elaborate on that, you know, he died, what, twice? There was a few times where, like, what is he doing? But that seems to always kind of be the goal of the Hilda. And what that did was it bought time, because even when KBG was ahead in kills, I mean, SRG was still winning out in gold, still winning out in map control, and it just felt like they had the pressure throughout that whole game. It felt like they were in control that whole game.
Yeah, this is one of those games where honestly it's clear that it's all about macro, right? Selangor Giants, they understood because this is one of their strengths. Because in MPL Malaysia, quite a lot of teams that's very good in the early game, but Selangor Giants, they're the king of mid game. Something about that second turtle, one second turtle spawns, something about SRG, whatever their planning is, they always execute it well.
Yeah, and KBG, unfortunately, we saw that there was somewhat an intention when they headed into the game. But then in the latter portions, after the mid stages, as you've mentioned, everything felt so reactive from them. The Nether Realm, it just felt like it was there to save whoever was in danger for KBG. It wasn't necessarily used to create some place for themselves, and that was something SRG just kept capitalizing on.
And taking a look at some of these items, focusing on Cram, I mean, Thunderbelt up front, just overall a lot of physical defense, just a little bit of magic, but it's enough, right? The Radiant Armor at least helps deal with Saksa. It helps deal with what KBG wants to bring. And even though Cram, I mean, essentially, for an EXP laner, it's not like he was insanely, you know, he didn't have the gold of a damage dealer, but he was still able to output
the
damage of Innocent, of Stormy, of Sekai's, of the rest of his team, right?
I mean, like, here's the thing. I doubt that he's the MVP, but if we look at his highlights, it's all about zoning everyone else. Like, look at this. Look at this. KBG has 4 kills and only 1 assist on Bilexi. Like, Bilexi probably deals damage, but it's all on one guy. It's all on the Hilda.
Yeah.
So this is probably something that KBG will have to respond to if they let go of the Hilda again. They need some kind of Hilda counter because their lineup here, I don't know about you guys, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of times it didn't even feel like SRG were just going in for the surprise plays whatsoever. KBG, fairly enough, had a lot of ways to face check, especially through Bilexi. Like, he was always throwing out that Death Sonata, the Rhapsody, the range. Of course, they were capitalizing on it. But then, as you mentioned, I think they didn't like find the perfect way to put all of make all their skills work together in the best way that it could. And most of the time, like, even though they're able to scout the members of SRG, the sheer damage, the sheer aggression, it was just so difficult to stop if you were in KBG's position earlier.
If I can take your attention, look at SRG's stats, look at the damage taken from Yums and as well as Cram. It makes sense that they have that much damage taken, but look at how little damage Innocent took. Look at how little damage Stormy took. This just shows that KBG, Saksa couldn't go to the backline. He couldn't go to Innocent. He couldn't go to Stormy. Yums and Cram, they create such a big barrier so that KBG, they really can't penetrate. And Sakai takes a little bit of damage here and there, but once he's in immortal form, it really doesn't matter. He has that damage reduction and he's able to deal out the damage as well.
And not only did they create such a good barrier, but they did it without dying, right? We saw a few times Yums was able to go in, set up implosions, and get away. And they were up against a NetherRealm to where they were still, I mean, they were able to outlast the NetherRealm, not die, and then output even more damage. And a big part of that has to be Sekai's who gets this MVP on the Suyo. Just overall wonderful gameplay from him.
Yep, I think it was a near perfect performance for Sekai's at this point, honestly. Imagine just how well they were able to control the macro and the micro at the same time for like the early to the mid stages of the game, and showing us how they've decided to really start focusing on how they're closing out the game. Taking out all the outer and inner turrets in less than 10 10 minutes? Yeah, 10 minutes. They took out all the turrets. It was only the base turrets left for KBG, so it was all the more difficult for them to actually find the openings and create plays for themselves. Even Tracy, like, the moment he finds a target that he uses the Way of the Dragon on, there's just immediate punish. There's a counter implosion. There are just follow-up from... There's just an endless sources of damage here for SRG.
The big thing about Sekai's getting this highlight is we just saw there, he takes a death early on in the game, but is still able to pick up the pieces and still keep his head in the game and start getting those picks. And, you know, a lot of people play the Suyo more as the fighter, as the bulky frontliner, but Sekai still has that inner assassin in him, right? You never know when he's going to come, you never know when he's going to hit, and he is a Reaper on this hero. The rest of his team gets them low, and Sekai's comes in and cleans up.
And this is, again, when the Sky Prince has a good time, the entire team has a good time. This is just a reminder that Sakai's was the MSE Grand Final MVP. Like, when he's feeling himself, like, the entire team just starts going online. So, honestly, when we're looking at Selangor Giants, we got to look at Sakai's. He's having a good time. If he doesn't have a good time, that's a different kind of Selangor Giants that we'll see.
All those Soul Sivers, all those